Good morning. Let's try that again. Good morning. Good morning. That's better. Good to have you all here with us this morning. It's actually going to be kind of a pretty day, so I hope you enjoy it. And it's still wet and muddy, but at least it isn't supposed to rain today. But it may not last long, but for today, we're not supposed to have any rain. But it is indeed a pleasure to be in the Lord's house with you here this morning. And I'm starting to feel some better, so I'm happy for that too. Let's go to the Lord in one prayer. Heavenly Father, as we come, we thank you for this time that we get to be in your house, Lord. And I'm so thankful for those that have come this morning, Lord, to worship, to hear from you, O Lord, and to read and to grow and to celebrate what you have given us, Lord, and that is life and abundant life. And I pray that we would just bask in that this morning, what you have given us, what you freely give to us. Lord, I thank you for this time. May you get all the glory, which in your name we pray and we ask. Amen. Let's stand as we go to the Lord at time of worship. Singers, come on up. I need you both. I know there's only two of you, but it's better than just me up here. I need you to get this book. This one. There's two in every pew. So you have to share it. If you steal one from another one, put it back later. There's some up here. Oh, there's some up there? Yeah. You can take it. Get on. As we all get situated, turn to page number 15. It's almost the very last one. Page number 15. This is for Brother Bob. He asked me to do this song, so we're doing it. Amen. Page number 15. He touched me.
Oh, what can you say?
Technical difficulties.
Yeah.
16 of this book. And we're going to be singing, I'm Still Jesus. Page number 11 is Stand. The name of the song is similar to a hymn you know, but not exactly. It's called Lord, I Need You. Page number 11. Lord, I come.
Oh my
may not fall on you. Jesus, you and save. You may be seated. It's good. It's good to have you all here. Once again, we're glad to be with you in the house of the Lord. All right, so go ahead and turn to the book of Isaiah. The book of Isaiah, chapter 55. Isaiah 55. When we do read in a minute, we will be reading the entirety of the chapter. Don't get too excited. It is only 13 verses. So, we will be reading out of Isaiah chapter 55 this morning. Today we're going to be talking about something that as Christians we've heard a lot about, and the Bible speaks quite a bit about in a lot of different places. But today we're going to be looking at what God gave Isaiah about this particular subject out of the verses that we get out of 55. A couple of these verses you should know because we quote them quite a bit. But what we're going to be talking about today is this idea that we thought came with Jesus, but we really see throughout all of Scripture as God explains what the Messiah's role really is all about, what He's coming to do in the Old Testament, and what we see, how we see that flesh out in Jesus, and how God is doing that in the New Testament. And that is this term, abundant life. We see what it kind of means and what God wants for us with this abundant life. There's a lot of people seeking abundant life nowadays. If you've missed our Sunday school for the last couple of Sundays, then please come out. This is my little plug for Sunday school. It's just an extra hour. I know that's hard for some of us, but it's just an extra hour. And we're studying some really good things in Sunday school. Right now we're in the book of Ecclesiastes. Last week we talked about how life apart from God is meaningless and empty. And today, proving that, Solomon talked about how the pursuit of pleasures and possessions will leave you feeling empty as well. Because apart from God, there is no satisfaction in life. And Solomon is a living testimony to that. Because he had it all. We talked about some of the things that he had today in the scriptures that we read out of Ecclesiastes chapter 2. He had, at the time, he had more cattle, which is livestock, than any other king in Jerusalem at the time, meaning his dad and Saul and all of the judges. He had more servants, which was also a status symbol of that day. The more servants you had, the wealthier you are. Kind of like today, you see these places around here and other places where they're so big, you know they have to hire a cleaning service, right? They ain't taking care of that house. He also had gold and silver, and tons of it. I mean, when Babylon came in, there was still quite a bit of gold and silver left. I mean, the temple was a whole lot of gold itself that Solomon had built. He had all these things. And then he had 700 wives and 300 concubines. I couldn't imagine. I just want to tell you, I don't want to imagine. No offense, ladies, but I'm good with one. But he sought pleasure. He sought meaning of life in all these things. He had building projects. He built the temple. He built palace. He built all these things. He had gardens and all these things where he had to bring in water. I mean, the man was a genius. The Lord gave him all kinds of wisdom. But yet, at the end of the day, after all these pursuits, all of the relationships he had, the wealth and possessions he had, all the things that he tried to find, it was still left him empty. And he said life was meaningless under the sun. Meaning a secular worldview, an atheistic worldview under the sun, saying that this is all there is. Nothing above or beyond what we can see here on earth. And that type of existence leaves you feeling empty and purposeless and meaningless, which is why we still have all the people that still do this today. They try to find meaning in wealth, in possessions, in things they can build, in relationships, and it still leaves you empty, if that's all there is. Look at Hollywood. Look at the suicides that we've had over the years. People that you would think have it all. They have fame. People know their name and know their face. They know these people. They have riches and power and all the things that most people say will bring you happiness in life. And yet, they go to drug addiction. They're in therapy for depression, and some of them do commit suicide. So that just goes to show you that, just like Solomon said, if this is all it is in life, it still leaves you empty. And so the only place that we can go to find life, an abundant life, meaningful, purposeful life, is Jesus. And Isaiah gives us a glimpse of what that's going to look like in chapter 55 of his book. So if you're reading with me, Isaiah 55, starting in verse 1. Excuse me. Ho, everyone who thirsts, come to the waters. And you who have no money, come, buy and eat. Yes, come, buy wine and milk without money and without price. Why do you spend money for what is not bread, and your wages for what does not satisfy? Listen carefully to me and eat what is good. And let your soul delight itself in abundance. Incline your ear and come to me. Hear, and your soul shall live. And I will make an everlasting covenant with you. The sure mercies of David. Indeed, I have given him as a witness to the people, a leader and commander for the people. Surely you call a nation you do not know, and nations who do not know you shall run to you. Because of the Lord your God and the Holy One of Israel, for he has glorified you. Seek the Lord while he may be found. Call upon his name while he is near. Let the wicked forsake his way, and the unrighteous man his thoughts. Let him return to the Lord, and he will have mercy on him and to our God, for he will abundantly pardon. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, nor are your ways my ways, says the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. Verse 10, for as the rain comes down and the snow from heaven, and do not return there, but water the earth, and make it bring forth and bud, that it may give seed to the sower and bread to the eater, so shall my word be that goes forth from my mouth. It shall not return to me void, but it shall accomplish what I please, and it shall prosper in the thing for which I sent it. For you shall go out with joy, and be led out with peace. The mountains and the hills shall break forth in singing before you, and all the trees of the field shall clap their hands. Instead of the thorn shall come up the cypress tree, and instead of the briar shall come the myrtle tree. And it shall be to the Lord for a name, for an everlasting sign that shall not be cut off. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, as we come, we thank you for the word that you've given us, O Lord, through the prophet Isaiah. Lord, we thank you for the message that spoke so true then, and it still speaks truly to us today. May we see what you want for your people, what you have planned, and what's working out already for us and for your people, Israel. Lord, I pray that you would just speak to us, and we would listen, and we would hear, and we would be obedient and faithful to you. It's in your precious name we pray, we ask. Amen. So, there's a lot of things we're going to look at today that have to do with this abundant life and what God has for us and what He wants for us. So, in this passage, we're going to see a few things. First off, we're going to see an invitation. This is the truest, the best representation of a call to God, an invitation to faith, as you'll see in the Old Testament. And Paul, he comes back to it in his writings. It says, everyone who thirsts, come and waters. Come buy me. Yes, come buy wine and milk without money and without price. So that shows you that what you're getting costs something. Right? This is a foreshadowing, just like most of Isaiah, but all of the Old Testament, it all points to Jesus. We have to have the sacrificial system and the law before we can have Jesus. Because we have to be able to understand that there's a standard and that we will never reach it without God. And even in the Old Testament, it still, even though you had to have the law and the sacrificial system, it was still all about faith. Faith in God to help you keep the law and do those sacrifices. We have an invitation. Come. You know, does this sound like our world today? Those who are thirsty, those who are hungry, and not just for physical nourishment, though we do have that here in America and world and globally. But people today, just like I was talking about earlier, we're hungering and we're thirsting for meaning in life, for purpose in life. We're searching, sometimes not even realizing that we are searching. We go from this to this to that, from one fad to the next fad. You know, today's culture is so full of fads. The next greatest diet, the next best do-it-yourself, whatever. We're all about the next fad, you know, the next look, the next thought. But we're all hungry and thirsty for something. And here we have a clear invitation. If you want abundant life, come. Come to the waters. You who have no money, come, buy and eat. Yes, come buy wine and milk without money and without price. Meaning there is a price, but you don't have to pay for it. I don't have to pay for it. Why do you spend money for what is not bread, and your wages for what does not satisfy? We seek meaning and purpose in things that will never truly satisfy us. We spend our time, our money, our efforts on things that will only leave us empty. On relationships, on drugs, on alcohol, on work. Now, work is a good thing, and God speaks about it in His book. However, just like a lot of everything else that isn't God, isn't Jesus, if that's all you're living for, it's going to leave you hungry and thirsty, empty, unsatisfied. Because at the end of the day, work can't get you nothing. You might get a little bit of acclaim. People might know your name in certain circles. That ain't going to last forever. And that's not going to tuck you in tonight, so to speak. We have an invitation to come to the Lord. You can't buy it. You can't earn it. But it has a price. And as we know what the price is, Isaiah don't lay it out here. We know the price. It cost Jesus His life. He gave it up willingly, freely. They didn't take His life. He chose to die. And so we have an invitation to come to the Lord. Coming to the Lord is to trust in Him and rely on Him for salvation. He's the only way. He's the only one that can satisfy you, the longing that we have in our heart, the thirst and the hunger that is there. He compares this to food because you know how your belly feels when you first get hungry? It gnarls and it groans and it makes noises sometimes, don't it? But have you ever fasted or gone without food for a day or two? Eventually it don't feel as bad, does it? The longer you go without food, now it's still doing its damage because we need food to survive. You can't go more than a few weeks. I don't know the exact number, but there's a number in there. 3 weeks. But eventually, the hunger pains don't bother you so bad. I hear that. Sorry. Still a dad. Don't have to worry about that. Alright, so we have to trust and rely on Him for salvation. You can't earn it, we can't. He pays for it. Not us. But it's a free invitation. He's the only one that can satisfy that longing you have. And for Christians, just because we get saved, that longing don't always go away, does it? And sometimes that makes us doubt things. But we have to continue to seek God. Just like He tells us. I think it's in Lamentations. It says that His mercies are new every morning. And we have to continually go to Him, continually realizing that He is what satisfies. We have to trust in Him for salvation. Coming to the Lord is to obey His commandments. And Jesus says, how do you show that you love me? By doing what I say. Following me. Coming to the Lord means that salvation is free, like we said. It's a gift of God, not of works, so no one can boast. And that comes from Ephesians chapter 2. This ain't something you can earn, right? Just like he said in the first few verses. Come by without money. Get this without paying a dime. But I think the reason it's worded that way is because it did cost, like I said. It's not us. It cost Christ. A lot of times in the Scripture, water is symbolic of the Holy Spirit. Wine of joy. Milk has been called the Word of God before. And so as we come right to the waters, Christ told the lady at the well that if you knew who you were speaking to, you would ask me and I will give you living water. Come to the living water. Christ also told us in John chapter 6 that you cannot come to Christ, you cannot come to God unless what? The Holy Spirit draws you. Come to the water. You're drawn to God. Next we see in this passage an everlasting covenant. He goes from one covenant to the next. He talks about who here? David. And the Davidic covenant. And the new covenant is really a fulfillment of the old covenant because part of David's covenant was what? That someone of his line would always be on the throne. And that is fulfilled in Jesus because he comes from David's line on not just his dad's side of the family, which was his adoptive dad, but his mom's side of the family. Both genealogies are given, one in Matthew, one in Luke. He comes from David. So we see that he's leading from one covenant to the next. See, indeed, he talks about David, right? And I will make an everlasting covenant with you, the sure mercies of David, as I promised it to him. Indeed, I have given him as a witness to the people, a leader and commander for the people. Surely you shall call a nation you do not know, and nations who do not know you shall run to you because of the Lord your God and the Holy One of Israel. Meaning who? The Messiah. For he has glorified you. So he's leading us to this everlasting covenant. To have part in the reign of the Messiah, who is to sit on the throne of heaven. To have an intimate, personal, close relationship with God. It says, listen to me, back in verse 2, carefully to me and hear the voice of this. It says, incline your ear and come to me, hear and you shall live. So we have a close relationship because of the role of the Messiah and because now we're in an everlasting covenant, going from David's covenant to the new covenant. We also, in this passage, we see the leadership of the Messiah. The leadership of the Messiah. We see that his role will be to be a witness to the people, to lead and command God's people, to draw the wayward back, to draw people from all nations, to do this through his people. Israel, right? The gospel is to who first? As Paul tells us. The Jew. Then who? The Gentile. That means everybody else. This has always been God's plan. The Jewish people ain't always got it, right? Because they wanted to do this with it instead of giving it out. And guess what? Church, we ain't much better at it, are we? About giving it out, showing people that they need God. But we see that now the church is adopted or grafted in to Israel, God's people. And only through true faith in God can this happen. We see that this is how God is choosing to work. It's through His people, always through His people. Right? Surely you shall call a nation you do not know. And nations who do not know you shall run to you. Right? That is the picture of the church being grafted in to Israel. Because we make up many nations, the church does. Many ethnicities and backgrounds just within us ourselves. A lot of us come from different places. Most of us, our ancestry is Europe, but in different spots, if you've done any of that kind of, genealogy stuff. Most of my mom's family is from India. My dad's probably are too. So, a lot of people from Eastern Kentucky draw their heritage back to Ireland and Scotland and some England as well. But the church exists all over the world, and there's people from a lot of different nations that are our brothers and our sisters. And we're all a part of this everlasting covenant that's going to continue on. We have hope. There is, in this particular chapter, Isaiah is referring to the coming of the Christ, but also of His reign eventually. The reign that He has now, He should be reigning over us, right? We should be obedient. We ain't always. We should be. But it's also to His reign during the millennial kingdom and beyond. Because a lot of times in the Old Testament prophecy, it does not differentiate between Christ's first coming and His second coming. A lot of times they're mixed in together. You just have to kind of read between the lines, and that's a little hard sometimes. It was hard for the people of Jesus' day. That's one of the reasons they missed it. They missed Him. We also see in this passage that salvation is available to all. Seek the Lord while He may be found. We are in the age of grace right now. Once Christ came and He went up to heaven, between that time and the time He returns is the age of grace, is the time of salvation that where the Holy Spirit will draw people and people will be saved by the name of Jesus. Seek the Lord while He may be found. Call upon Him while He is near. Let the wicked forsake his way, and the unrighteous man his thoughts. This was a very typical Old Testament thought process. To be of God, you couldn't have wickedness in your life. You had to turn from it to go to Him. There was no middle ground. I'm wicked today, but tomorrow I'm righteous. No. It was completely apart. Now, it wasn't always the way they lived, but it was the way they thought. But we see that we have to do that still. We have to repent and turn. We know that it isn't us that gets rid of the wickedness, it's Christ. Unfortunately, here in Eastern Kentucky, there's a very popular thought that keeps a lot of people away from Jesus. And that is, I can't get saved until I settle down. I can't get saved until I get my life right. Until I stop wanting all those things that I shouldn't want. And I stop going all those places I shouldn't go. And until I calm down, settle down, and mature a little bit, I can't come to Jesus. That's a very popular thought here in Eastern Kentucky. Guess what? It's wrong. Because if I waited until I settled down and got everything right about myself, I'd still be apart from Christ. Because it don't happen. Not in this life. Now, for those of us that are saved, we should be becoming more like Christ. That's not an excuse to live any way you want. We should be becoming more like Jesus. A little more every day. And a little less like that sinful person that started this journey every day. A little less like that. A little less. Hopefully a lot less. But it's not because of what we can do, it's because of the work of the Holy Spirit. That living water that we went to, right? And the gift that we could not buy. That's working out in our lives. But we think, we have that same thought process a lot of times, is that I have to have it all together before I can go to God. Hey, how can He forgive me? Problem with that line of thinking is none of us deserve it. None of us are good enough. Christ didn't save you because you deserved it. Because you were the best thing since sliced bread. He saved you because you needed it. He came and died and offers salvation for free for us because we need it, not because we deserve it. We will never deserve it. We'll never be good enough. You can't earn it, you can't buy it, just like Isaiah said in the Old Testament. But we do need it. Call upon Him while He is near. Forsake the wicked way. Let him return to the Lord, and He will have mercy on him. Right? He here is capitalized if you read Old King James or New King James. And the He speaking of here is God. And God will have mercy on him. And to our God, for He will abundantly pardon. He will have mercy on us. He will pardon us. That's how you forsake your wicked ways. That's how you get out of all this mess. It's because of the work of God, the Holy Spirit in our life. But we have to come. That's the hardest part sometimes for a Christian. And for the lost person is coming. Realizing they need God. Hearing whatever friend and family that knows Christ have told them, and heeding the Spirit's call and making that decision. That I need Jesus. That's hard. That's a hard thing. But guess what? Coming to God for us is hard too sometimes. Because even though you're saved and you realized at one point in your life you needed Christ and you couldn't do this on your own, so you came and bought from Him something you didn't have the money to buy because He'd already been paid for. But sometimes we get caught up in our lives, don't we? We don't keep coming. And that ain't for Christ, because you're completely forgiven. Hebrews tells us once for all. It's done. When Christ says it is finished, He meant it. It isn't, oh, it's only done for now. You better be good. Right? That ain't what He said. It is finished. Meaning the work of salvation is done. It's done. There's nothing else that can be added to the work of salvation. Nothing. Nothing. Not your good work, not your bad work, not what you can do or can't do, what you can buy, what you can't buy. It was free. He did it, not you. You can't get it. You can't take it away. But we quit coming to Him sometimes, don't we, church? And we fall into traps of sin. And we live life in ways that aren't abundant. We don't have this abundant life that He's offering. We don't live in the everlasting covenant and under the leadership of our Messiah, do we, church? Sometimes. We live like pagans. We worry and we fret and we carry on like a lost person. Instead of having this abundant life that's free to us just because we're saved. God goes on a little bit further after this, after He shows us that salvation is free to all. He wants to prove it. So we see that we can trust God for salvation. We can trust God for salvation. His ways are higher than ours. It says right here, Let the wicked forsake his way, and the righteous man his thoughts. Let him return to the Lord, and he will have mercy on him, and to our God, for he will abundantly pardon. And we still have people that don't believe that. They think that I have to get my life right. They think this stuff. But God shows us why that's wrong. Why? Because He tells us here verses that I'm sure every one of us has quoted, and you may not have even realized where it comes from. Some of you might have looked it up before. But these are verses that are quoted all the time, verses 8 and 9, and 10 and 11 as well. But 8 and 9, my thoughts are not your thoughts. My ways are not your ways. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts higher than your thoughts. What's that mean? That means try as you may, and try as you should, to understand God. You're never going to quite get there. That doesn't mean we shouldn't read and study His Word and try to understand as much as we can. It just means you're never going to fully understand it now. Because you're human. You're sinful. You're finite. It means you have I say this, but you have an end, but not really. This body has an end. But we're finite in our being. God has always been. That's why we call Him infinite. Not just that He can't die, but He's never not existed. Wrap your mind around that. Can you understand never not existing? I can't. Why? Because at one time I didn't exist. There was a time that where a lot of you were alive, where Clay Wheeler wasn't. Because a lot of you are older than me. But God was never not alive, never not in being. And you think about that. Wrap your mind around that if you can. That's one of those things that's higher than us, greater than us, more than we can comprehend. I just can't comprehend. I can to an extent, just a very small extent. And that's just one attribute of God. Now think about a lot of the other ones. Like this whole forgiving us, abundantly pardoning, offering abundant life to a bunch of people who don't deserve it. That don't make no sense. Hey, Mommy. It don't make no sense. You couldn't take the sense that and make somebody a cup of coffee. But it's because God's different than us. His ways are higher. It's hard for us to understand love that just loves. Not expecting anything in return. Not expecting you not to hurt me. It just loves. We can't understand that. Ain't that above us? It's above me. Because it's hard for me to love like that sometimes. Most of the time. It's hard for me to love like that. I try because He does. But that's just one of those things that's higher than I am. But that's what He does. And that's why we have to realize we can't do it on our own. You can't earn it. You can't get it without Him. And He also, down in verses 10 and 11, promises that no matter what, if He said it, it's going to happen. I know these verses very well because I used to be a Gideon. Now, most of you know who they are. They come to our church every so often. I'm a big supporter of the Gideons. Most of you know that because I was one. They are one of the best organizations about getting the Bible in the hands of people who need it. And the money they take from the churches is 100% in the Bibles. All the administrative costs comes from Gideons. They pay that themselves. The reason I know that's because I was one. But this is two of their main verses, 11 being the main one. But you need number 10 to kind of understand 11. For as the rain comes down and the snow from heaven, and do not return there, but water the earth, and make it bring forth the bud, that it may give seed to the sower and bread to the eater. Here's the clincher. Right? We just saw rain coming down, watering the earth, making it possible for seed and bread to eat. So shall my word that goes forth from of my mouth, it shall not return to me void, but it shall accomplish what I please. And it shall prosper in the thing which I send. Meaning, if God said it, you can take it to the bank, that check won't bounce. He said it, it's going to happen. If He said, come to me and I'll save you, and it'll cost you nothing, it will cost you nothing. If He said, I'm the one that keeps you, my Holy Spirit seals you, then that's what it does. Because He said it. We can count on God's Word. He's got an impeccable track record. Everything that He said that's supposed to have happened has happened. 100%. We can trust God for salvation. We can trust Him at His Word. How many people do you know that you can trust implicitly? 100% of the time. They will never break their word. How many people do you know that can do that? I don't know any of them. Know anybody. Even in this church, as good as you all are, you've broke your word at one time or the other. I guarantee it. Maybe not a long time, but you have. Because we're people. We can trust God. If He says it, it's going to happen. We might not understand His purposes and His will and His pleasure. But it's going to do what He says it's going to do. This word came out of His mouth. It's got purpose. It's going to do what He said it's going to do. And when He speaks to us, He'll do what He said. Church, we have to believe God. Do you know how many people that call themselves Christians that don't think the Bible is inerrant or infallible? You know what that means? There's people out there that say they're Christians that believe this book has flaws. It can be wrong. Well, I can tell you, if there was any chance that I thought this book was wrong once, in one place, I would throw it all away. Why? Because if He lied once, baby, He's going to lie again. This book has to be 100% true or 100% false. But God has told us, and He has proven it over and over, that if He says it, it's true. It'll happen. That check won't bounce. I promise. Lastly, we see salvation brings joy. Salvation brings joy. Now, you may not have trees clapping, and you may have to fool with some thorns and bristles in this life, but salvation brings joy in your life. Just like we're talking about how all those possessions and things and people can't bring you satisfaction, salvation can. That calm assurance that you know that when everything's going topsy-turvy and upside down, that God has you and that everything's going to go bad. And then you know when you die, even though you may not want to think about it, you ain't got to worry about hell. You ain't got to be concerned about misery anymore. That's the joy of salvation. And eventually it will bring all this that He's talking about. This is a kind of a snapshot of how great things are going to be when Jesus finally rules here on earth in His kingdom. But we can experience that now. This is for Israel and this is for us, but we can experience it now as God's people. Like I said, salvation brings joy. It brings contentment. It brings peace in this life. In this life of the thorns and the briars, as it talks about here, it's still, we still have joy. Because we have God. We have purpose and meaning. What is your purpose and meaning, Christian? To bring God glory. That's everyone's purpose and meaning. To bring God glory. To live in an intimate relationship with the Maker. To tell people that He loves them. And to show them and to help people grow and walk in their faith. That's it. That's your purpose in a nutshell. Now, that can play out 100 different ways. And He has specific calls and purpose for each of us. But that is the general purpose, to bring God, glory to God, to live in an intimate relationship with Him, to tell others about Him, and to help them on their journey, and let them help you. That's what we're here for. And that is abundant life that God wants to give you. It ain't a Cadillac. It's not a jet plane with your own highway. It's living for Him. Being connected to Him and helping others do the same. That's abundant life in Christ. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, as we come, we thank You for this time that You have given us. Lord, I pray that You would just show us what true abundant life really is. And that we wouldn't take it for granted. And that You would love us. And we experience that love, Lord, and show it to us. Lord, we thank You for all that You give us and all that You do. Lord, help us to live in this abundant life You've given us. It's in Your name we pray and we ask. Amen. Church, it's time to recognize that God has given us abundant life. That doesn't mean all your wants and desires and easy. That's what we think that means, right? Easy. Look back in the Bible. Look back through church history. Most of the ones that were following God and were used greatly for Him did not have an easy nor a comfortable life. I'm sorry to say that, because most of us, our bubble just got burst, if you didn't already realize that. Because we feel like as Americans that God wants easy for us, comfortable. No, He don't. Because easy and comfortable don't always bring glory. Think of some of the names that come to the top of your mind when you think of how God used them. I think of people like Paul. Do you think Paul had an easy life? No. He suffered greatly for Christ. The man was stoned to death and left for dead, but yet he didn't die. He was beaten numerous occasions. He was in prison, in jail, numerous occasions. And it could go on. Most of the people used greatly by God suffered throughout time in history. Or they gave up things for Christ. So this abundant life we're talking about today is not comfort and pleasure, but it's glorifying God and living in His will as obedient followers. And that's what He wants, and that's what's best for us.